Today's topic, we're going to be talking about the skills that school never taught you. Now, most times in school, we are more focused on passing our exams, and we don't really look at those things that they did not teach us. But by the time we get to figure it out, it's already too late in the day. And the primary place of interaction, basically, apart from the family, is school. That's why you see you spend most of your time there trying to learn certain things. Now, I'm going to call out three things we that skills that school never taught us. The first one is adaptability. Most times, we are always taught to have a straight. So the thing is that if a child was in primary one this year, it's expected that next year the child should be in primary two, right? That is the way the normal progression until you're supposed to, if you're going to be in school for 6 years, you're going to be in that school for 6 years. It's not expected that you should spend any more time than that. And because you're focused on what you're supposed to do, you don't look at all those certain things like adaptability. How do you become adaptable? There are certain times when maybe circumstances play out and you are supposed to adjust. But because school gives you a rigid system, you understand, you are rigid. They tell you this is what you do your homework, you follow what the teacher says. When the teacher is writing, you don't write. But an adaptable student will see that, come on, he has observed that anytime the teacher is teaching on the board and says nobody should write when I'm writing. But guess what? John, let me give an example of using John. John sees the teacher writing on the board, is writing on the board the same time the teacher is writing. Then when the teacher cleans the board, have you written here? The teacher to say no. Then John will say, I've written there, sir. You just take a copy from John. But guess what happened? John was adaptable. John was writing when the teacher was writing on the board, but the teacher said, don't write though. John, being a smart guy, knew that if I don't write now, the teacher is writing, and it's that same place that the teacher will likely clean when he's writing there's a note for us on the board. What happens? So some persons did not learn adaptability because we're always strict, we're always taught to follow instructions, yeah. Follow what the teacher says and do not question what the teacher says. That's why most persons you see that when they leave school, they find it difficult to understand society because they learned a rigid system where you sit down when you are told, you don't go out without permission because that's for control. They keep us in such a way that they want you to understand, although it's good. But the thing is that after school, we don't find out how to be able to, apply that adaptability when it comes to our life because we expect that everything should be the way it's structured, and that's not how real life is. The second one is conflict resolution. You see, most times, it's not every conflict that you have to by fighting. Let me give an example now. Back then in school, if you had an issue, you could easily go and report your teacher, and the teacher will solve the matter for you. But the teacher will likely beat whoever may challenge you or stuff like that. The teacher sees you and your two students fighting and beat them for carrying out such a grievous activity. But guess what? You now get to a point where you might not necessarily be able to beat this person by reporting anymore because there's nobody to hold them accountable. You now see a bigger system where you can see somebody that might be doing you a level of injustice, right? You're not being able to learn how to confide, how to resolve conflict without having to throw fists. So when you leave school, you don't find that difficult. Like, okay, we never taught us how to resolve conflicts in school, basically, because they were more concerned about finishing the syllabus than trying to look around all these other things that are there. You understand? So conflict solution is one of the resolution, rather, is one of those things that most time in school is all about how do you solve conflict outside school, the school environment. You see, you have to think outside the box, and that's the second thing, that second skill that you need after probably in the workforce when you get to start working. And this is one of the funniest one. You find out that your all the classmates that you have will end up being prominent people in society tomorrow. Yeah. So you are more in the space of competing with the person and getting to know who that person is. So you might not find out that you had a cousin or a cousin, or sorry, a classmate or a classmate that became a prominent person. But because you guys in school, you were more concerned about being competitive with each other. You don't have time to network because rather you were feeling that I beg, let me focus and get my grades. Then you now find out that you're failing school. You now start looking for a job and find out that this person's father is the owner of the company you want to apply for. You'll be like, oh, the relationship you and that person had back then was that you were always reporting the person to the teacher, and teacher was always beating that person. Now you begin to regret because if you had good networking skills, you'd have known that nobody knows what tomorrow holds. Tomorrow is pregnant, yeah. Anybody can become anything tomorrow. So that's one of the things I believe school did not teach us, networking. I believe now maybe they might begin to introduce it now because the awareness is now very popular now, that certain things about networking, and networking starts from school. You network with people. Most of all these presidents are going to be presidents tomorrow. They all went to school. Most of the current presidents we have in the world, or prominent people in society today, they all went to school. They all had classmates. They all had secondary school mates. They all had primary school mates, and they went to higher institutions and college too. So what's that telling us automatically? That when we begin to imbibe this idea of networking, yeah, we'll be able to now understand that come tomorrow anything can happen. You now have a more friendly approach to carry out your activities. You're not more in that competitive space anymore. Rather, you are in the space of come. let's work together, let's do more of collaboration. You understand? I think that's where you see most persons are always in competition, because school teaches you compete, but they don't understand that it's not every trophy you win by competing alone. You might also have to involve yourself in collaboration. Collaboration is that thing that helps you. That way they'll say one will chase 1,000, two will chase 10,000. Yeah, you must also learn how to collaborate. And networking is the only thing that can give you the opportunity to collaborate. You meet other people and talk to them, and you discuss, have meaningful conversations with them. That's what leaves leaves room for greater opportunity. If you like the podcast and you found it informative, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next episode. Take care. Bye bye.